Hello, boys and girls. Welcome back to statistics module that we've been working on, and this is lesson 9 called Summarizing the Distribution Using a Box Plot. So our goal for today we will construct box and whisker plots to represent data distributions. Box and whisker plots are actually pretty kind of fun, and there's some key information that you'll learn about the important pieces of data that correlate with the box and whisker plots through this lesson. Question I want you to be thinking about is what about a data distribution does a box and whisker plot show? All right, things to know. Box and whisker plots are created by taking the information from finding the interquartile range, or the IQR, and drawing a box around the data points. So it's really, really easy because all you're doing is basically doing last lesson that we had. You're doing that same math, but now you're incorporating a box. And the box is actually going to be drawn so that the end of the box is at the lower quartile, the other end of the box is at the upper quartile, and the middle of the box sits on the median. And so that's what makes the box, and there's two other points that you need to know. Follow the steps for finding quartile 1, quartile 2, and quartile 3. The box is formed from the quartile 1, quartile 2, and quartile 3. The whiskers are formed by drawing a connecting line from the box to the lowest data point in the set, and from the box to the highest data point to the set. Okay, so that's kind of fun. The way that I like to remember it is those whiskers are reaching out to the very end marks of the data, so the lowest and the highest. This is a picture of a box and whisker plot. And so what they're talking about up here when they're telling you to find stuff, Q1 or quartile 1 is your median. And then quartile 2, like we were studying, is going to be your lower, and then quartile 3 would be your upper, okay? And so that's how we remember those quartiles, okay? Actually, I'm wondering if that would be confusing. Maybe this one should be quartile 1, right? Because now I'm thinking about it, the first quartile is the lowest, and then quartile 2 would be in the middle. That makes more sense. So this is actually quartile 2, and then that one will be quartile 3. Let's go with that instead, because that numerically sounds like it works better. Okay, basically, you don't really ever call them Q1, Q2, and Q3. You actually just say upper quartile minus the lower quartile, or upper quartile, lower quartile, and median. So the Q's are really not necessarily your focal points. But anyways, here is a box and whisker plot. This is our lower quartile, like it says, the upper quartile, like it says, the median, like it says. Upper extreme is the highest point of the data set. Lower extreme is the lowest point of the data set. So in our numerical values, this 3 would have been the lowest number that you wrote in numerical order, and this 18 would have been the highest number that you wrote in numerical order. So that's how you find them. So box and whisker plots, the minimum, and you need to know this, the minimum is the lowest data point numerical value. So in this box and whisker plot that's up above, your lowest data point numerical value would be 3. And then your lower quartile is your median of the lower set of data points, right? That was from yesterday's lesson. And then your median is your middle or center point in the data set. Oh, I forgot to write the answer of the other one. So in that one, the middle of the data set on this one, I would say, is 10.5. Just looking at that, if you brought that line down here, it would go to about 10.5. Our quartile 1, or our lower quartile on here, looks like it would go to 4, right? and then your upper quartile is the median of the higher set of data. And on this box and whiskers, it looks like the upper is at 15, right? And then your maximum is the highest data point numerical value. So your highest point numerical value, you just follow the whisker all the way out, and it goes to 18. So now you've learned how to identify all of the parts of the box and whiskers. And then the box sits around these guys, lower quartile, median, and upper quartile, and then the whiskers attach to these 2 points. And that's what these are called, is these are your whiskers out here. Okay? All right, so then it says practice time. Time to get to school. The times in minutes for students in Mr. S's class have been put in order from smallest to largest and are shown below. 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 7, 8, 8, 10, 10, 12, 12, 12, 12, 15, 15, 15, 15, 22, 22, 25, 25, 25, 30, 30, 35, 45, 60. All right, so they're in numerical order like it says. And then it says, what is the value of the median time to get to school for students in Mr. S's class? What is the value of the median time? So the first thing that they're wanting us to do is they're wanting us to find the median. So if you remember how to do that, you start from both ends and you just move in until you're there. So 60 and 5, 45 and 5, 35 and 5, 30 and 5, 30 and 7, 25 and 8, 25 and 8, 25 and 10, 22 and 10, 22 and 12, 15 and 12, 15 and 12, 15 and 12, and we're left with 15. So the median for this one would be 15. Okay, and I'm going to say it sits here. All right, so now that's our median. Now we have to find the value of the lower quartile. So you actually use that median and the lowest amount. And if I'm looking for the lower quartile, then I would go 15 and 5, 12 and 5, 12 and 5, 12 and 5, 12 and 7, 10 and 8. And then these two are left together, so we have to add them together. So 10 plus 8 is 18, divided by 2 is 9. So we would say that the median of the lower quartile is 9. Okay, and it sits right where I put that purple dot. Okay, and now we have to find the upper quartile. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to go 15 and 60, 15 and 45, 15 and 35, 15 and 30, 22 and 30, 22 and 25, and now we're left with 25 and 25. So we add them together. 25 plus 25 is 50, divided by 2 is 25, and so we're going to say that it sits there. So this would be 25 for the upper. And now it says, what is the minimum data point? And the minimum data point on here would be 5. So the minimum data point is 5. And then the maximum data point, which is the highest, would be 60. And so we're writing 60 here. And now it says, draw a number line to represent the data set and make a box and whisker plot of all the quartiles. So I can do that really quickly. Put your numbers on here. Okay, and then because we have a range that goes from 5 to 60, then we're going to have to count by 5. So 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, and 60. Okay, so there is that numerical line, and then we go ahead and put everything on where it's supposed to be. So I know that my minimum is at 5, so I'm putting one dot at 5. I know my maximum is at 60, so I'm putting a dot at 60. And then I have to put my lower quartile, which happened to be at 9, so right below 10, right? And then I have to do my upper, which sits at 25, so it's right here. And then my median, which sits at 15, which would go right here. And then I have to hook them all together, right, to make the box. And so I have this box and whiskers plot that looks like that because my median of my lower quartile is 9, my median of my upper quartile is 25, my median of the whole data set is 15, and then I have a whisker out here at 60, and I have a whisker out here at 5. Okay? And that is what your box and whisker plot looks like for all 5 things. We have the minimum, lower quartile, median, upper quartile, and maximum. Okay, and if you want to label them, that's awesome. So this is the minimum, right? This one right here is your lower quartile. This one right here is your median. And this one right here is your upper quartile. And this one out here is your maximum. Okay, and now, boys and girls, you have learned how to draw a box and whiskers plot using the IQR and your median. Okay, so that's pretty cool. That was kind of fun too. You just have to remember all the steps. Okay, so going back to our goal for today's lesson, today we will construct box and whisker plots to represent data distributions, which is what we just did. We were talking about the time in minutes that they show up to school in Mr. S's class, and so that's what it looks like in a box and whisker plot. The question that I asked you was, what about the data distribution does a box and whisker plot show? It shows you the median ranges of the lower quartile, the upper quartile, and the whole data set, and then it also includes the smallest data point and the largest data point. Okay? All right, kiddos, that's all I have for you about box and whisker plots. Talk to you soon. Bye.